bubonic plague.
You can order
Yeah,
it
we've
for
seen that
takeout as part of the
yesterday.
restaurant's new
It's
cafe
not
menu.
bad. It doesn't spread. Every year there's like 5 or 6 bubonic plagues. You don't hear about it, but now you're going to hear about it.
Along the tiny side street, come on.
Yeah.
It's so pretty right here. I think that it has the potential to be a really gorgeous
That's
evening
crazy.
dining scene.
And so excited for that with this new addition there of that Sidewalk Cafe. Veg is now open 5 days a week, Tuesday through Saturday, weather permitting, of course. You can make reservations online. We've posted that link along with those 2 other spots on 6abc.com/FYI. We are giving you the green light to eat all the ice cream you want.
Good. Does it work retroactively? Because I had a big bowl last night.
Did you? Oh yeah, the whole 2020. Just eat ice cream.
Thank you.
That's what I got for you.
How about it? Nike is honoring one of the great bands of all time, the Grateful Dead. So-called Deadheads can now sport the SB Dunk Low sneakers that feature the band's most iconic and lovable symbol, the Dancing Bears. They use bold colors of yellow, green, and orange on the shoes and a
it's terrible. Look.
Nike swoosh, mimicking the Bears' collars. One color
It's like a
being sold
teddy bear.
exclusively at FTC Skateboarding in San Francisco. The others all available online. They cost $110 a pair.
$110.
Today at 2 on 6ABC. The radical left-wing mob's agenda: take over our cities, defund the police, pressure more towns to follow, and Joe Biden stands with them. Cutting police funding. Yes, absolutely eliminating cash bail, letting criminals back on the street, violent crime exploding, innocent children fatally shot. Who will be there to answer the call when your children aren't safe? I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Accidents are tough, but if you are home, we can make it easy, and we can do it remotely. Online documents, telemedicine visits, and I can personally even consume your life home. Call Rosenbaum and Julian.
There's strength in being part of the community, like Ann's Choice in Maris Grove. Throughout the COVID-19 emergency, our community members never lacked for care and connection. Ann's Choice in Maris Grove are managed by Erickson Living, the national leader in senior living and healthcare. We acted early and quickly for the safety, health, and security of the people who live and work here. Ann's Choice in Maris Grove. Now more than ever, community matters.
Open. And we're in so much more meaning today. At Universal Dentistry, we're open. If you're in urgent need of care and are looking for a safe, sterile, affordable solution, give us a call. Thousands of our patients have relied on Universal Dentistry for quality dental care at the area's most affordable prices. With 6 locations, we're close to home, but appointments are limited, so call now. We are open, and we're in this together. Insist on Universal Dentistry.
Closed captioning sponsored by Pella Windows and Doors. Impressive performance, qualified installers, exceptional value. Visit PellaPhilly.com to set an appointment.
Well, we start with a really fun new feature here on Action News. Can Deuces Do It? Continues on Action News tonight. Sports director Deuces Rogers has already tackled a few challenges, but tonight at 6 o'clock he takes on a water skiing challenge issued by our own Cecily Tynan. You've got to see it. Here's a preview.
One more question. Where's the driver?
I'm a driver.
Oh, no.
I'll be kind and gentle. Come on, Deuces. Yeah.
She's driving.
Oh,
Are you writing this at all?
Cecily having way too much fun with that. So we'll find out tonight if Deuces can actually do it on Action News at 6. He's such great sport. That'll do it for Action News at noon here today. Don't forget to join us later on for Action News at 4, 5, and 6. Now for the entire Action News team, I'm Brian Tapp. Make it a great day. Have some fun.
Challenge with the water skiing. He said no. The next thing you know, they're like, okay.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Green, the CEO of Plexiderm. And if you haven't tried Plexiderm, we've created the best offer yet with our Plexiderm 10-minute challenge. All it takes is 10 minutes to reduce the appearance of under eye bags, wrinkles, and crow's feet. Even the 11 lines between your eyes are visibly gone in minutes. Plexiderm works so well with makeup artists, celebrities in Hollywood, and even people across the country just like you look and feel Shield in minutes.
So I've had under eye bags for a very long time, and it sucks. I've spent so much money on tons of eye creams, eye gels. Finally, I tried something called Plexter, and I'm not joking, it works. When I do a collage and everything is done, it looks amazing. That is exactly how Plexter makes me feel. I put it on my face, and somehow, some way, I look together, which is amazing. I'm Jackie, and I took the Plexter 10-minute challenge, and so should you.
I'm Neela. I'm 61 years old. I'm a professional personal trainer. It's so important to be in good health and to be fit and take care of yourself. How it makes you feel inside is amazing. And yet, when you look in the mirror, what you see necessarily isn't what you feel inside. Plexaderm, seriously, I look 20 years younger than I did before. And that's so super important because my whole life is about health, fitness, feeling good, and looking good. And first chance I really got to look how I feel inside. Honest to God, it's amazing. There's nothing there. Like, the bags are gone.
The instant results are from naturally based silicates found in shell rock. Once applied, your skin tightens and firms, rapidly reducing the appearance of under eye bags and wrinkles in minutes. So if under eye bags and wrinkles make you look tired and older, take action with the Plexaderm 10-minute challenge. Try it today for only $14.95. Plus get free shipping. Visit plexadermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
What you need to know right now. Bracing for the worst. The nation's top health officials' new coronavirus warning. Louisiana reemerging as one of the nation's top hotspots. The lieutenant governor is here on the strategy to get the pandemic under control. Advancing equality for all women. The author of Good Feminism at This Moment in History, and what she's urging upper middle-class white women to consider. Plus, some surprising facts about the nation's housing market in the pandemic. The expert here with ways to make the most of it. Actress and comedian Sherry Shepherd, why the death of Elijah McClain has struck a personal resonance for her family. And the 11-year-old artist whose poem against racism has brought so many, here sharing his viral work, My Skin's Not a Weapon.
Now, from ABC Studios in Times Square, Amy Robach with What You Need to Know.
And good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for What You Need to Know. We're happy you're here with us on this Wednesday. Some of the major developments we're tracking: now more than 3.4 million diagnosed COVID cases nationwide, with deaths here in the U.S. rising to more than 136,000, with more than 41 million here tested. With me now is ABC Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Jen Ashton. Dr. Jen, on the minds of so many, will schools reopen in the next month or two? And with that, we are learning more about how this virus behaves in children. What have we learned?
Well, first of all, we have to start just with this unique location and population and talk about what we know thus far. First of all, in terms of environment, we know that viral infections spread very easily in densely crowded environments like most school settings, but there's limited published data about how SARS-CoV-2 actually behaves in this setting, and we need that information. We also know that the pediatric age group in general, 0 to 18, is at low risk for severe COVID-19. That does not mean zero risk. But we also know that the school staff, the teachers, the faculty, and the relatives of students are just by definition of being older at higher risk because of age, because they may have pre-existing medical conditions. So that's a factor. And just released, Amy, from the CDC, that masks absolutely help prevent the spread of this virus in closed settings. That's data that comes out of Missouri, hairstylists. So if they reopen, we would think that masks would be an integral part of that.
That's right. And even within the student age group, there is new data suggesting that different ages are affected differently by the virus.
Exactly, and that was just put out in the last couple of days. Interestingly, that younger children, so we're talking about 0 to 10, actually are not that susceptible to infection, although they can definitely spread it. Teenagers, let's say 10 to 20, much more likely to have been infected. And so we're thinking that children at different ages can absolutely have different immune reactions to this virus. Again, not one size fits all. And so the decision to reopen schools has to be based on what modifications can be made, whether hybrid systems can occur, whether that can occur remotely or in person or a combination. It really needs a tailored approach based on the age, based on the type of school, where it's located, and try to figure out some solutions.
Yeah, so what do we still have to learn? We don't have a lot of time.
Exactly. So one of the most important things that we don't know yet is what the role of testing will be in helping schools reopen, whether that's pooled testing or individual testing. We don't really know yet whether parents and teachers will feel safe and comfortable with the virus circulating as it is right now. We always have to balance the risks and the consequences of not reopening schools, because that list is significant. And I think really important, Amy, here is to ask the question, what is the end point? If it's just delaying till January, things may not look measurably better in January. They could, in fact, be a little worse. And so we have to figure out how to live with this virus.
All right, Dr. Jen, thank you so much. We're going to turn now to ABC's Kira Phillips, who's in Washington with the latest headlines for us. Good afternoon, Kira.
Hey, Amy, great to see you. We begin with the growing calls for Americans to mask up. The CDC citing 2 studies now affirming cloth face coverings are a critical tool in the fight against COVID. Robert Redfield, the head of the CDC, telling JAMA that if Americans rigorously wear masks, wash hands, and practice social distancing, we can beat the illness back in just a month or 2. Dr. Redfield also warning about a grim winter ahead if things continue the way they have been. President Trump's niece stepping forward for the first time to speak about her scathing memoir she says is all about family dysfunction. Mary Trump telling our George Stephanopoulos that if she were in the Oval Office today with her uncle, she would tell him to, quote, resign, and that he's, in her view, dangerous and utterly incapable of leading this country. And the historic decision out of Asheville, North Carolina, the city council voting to provide reparations to black residents and their descendants, and apologizing for the city's role in slavery, discrimination, and denial of basic liberties. The groundbreaking resolution passing unanimously. And the new ballroom boss, Tyra Banks, tapped to take over hosting duties on ABC's Dancing with the Stars, and she'll also serve as executive producer. The series embarking on its 29th season later this year. And Amy, the supermodel, added that she likes seeing celebrities push past their comfort zones with these sizzling dance performances, and that it's always transported her to her days of turning it up 10 notches on the catwalk. Now, what I would give to see you and Dr. Jen turning it up on Dancing with the Stars.
I'm just going to stick with my smizing. That's what I'm going to do, Kira. Thank you very much for that. Well, Louisiana surpassed 80,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus this week, rising into the nation's top 5 number of cases per capita. Joining us once again to weigh in on these impacts and how the state is responding is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. And Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being with us today. We know that the governor there, John Bel Edwards, signed an executive order. It went into effect on Monday, and that was to close all bars across this state. Can you talk a little bit about that decision?
Right, he also put a mandatory wear your mask in place except for 3 parishes in Louisiana. It's so important that we follow those guidelines. We saw an incredible spike. As you mentioned, we're in the top 10 of states that saw that spike, and we know what we've got to do, and that's wear your mask and keep your distance to bring those numbers down.
Yeah, and talking about that mask mandate, it's for anyone who's 8 years or older. Well, some members of the state's Republican-controlled legislature have pushed back on that order. What do you make of that?
Well, I think we've got to take politics out of it. I was glad to see the president wearing a mask at Walter Reed this past Sunday. The vice president was here yesterday. His whole team was wearing a mask out at LSU talking about safely opening schools. We've got to do it because it's the right thing to do and leave politics to the side. Tourism is such a part of Louisiana, and without that curve heading south, we're not going to get this state back open and bring the economy back.
As you mentioned, we saw Vice President Mike Pence visiting Louisiana yesterday amidst that surge in cases there. You said he had his mask on, so did his entire team. One official, though, who was absent from the meeting was Louisiana's Attorney General Jeffrey Landry. That's, of course, he tested positive for COVID-19. Can you tell us about his condition, how he's doing?
Yes, I haven't gotten an update this morning. We're praying for a speedy recovery for him. But that's a great example of why we all need to do this. Nobody's immune to it, and we just got to come together and wear the mask.
I think that's an important message that everyone needs to hear, not just in your state, but across this country. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Well, there is much more ahead here on What You Need to Know. Facing some hard truths when it comes to police brutality, racism, and now mainstream feminism, the author who charges women of color have been left out. And COVID comebacks, our spotlight on survivors, the anesthesiologist who had a close call. Stay with us.
As we move forward, let's continue to practice these healthy habits. Brought to you by Lysol. Wash your hands often with soap and water, and monitor your health. Always use the inside of your elbow to cough or sneeze. Be sure to cover your mouth and nose with a cloth face cover around others, and keep about 6 feet distance from them. And remember to clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces daily. The best way forward is together. Lysol, what it takes to protect.
Have you ever thought about polishing your skin?
Dove exfoliated body polish.
Do this. Wow, it's very creamy. It feels like you're really polishing your skin.
And silky and smooth.
Dove exfoliating body polish exfoliates and nourishes.
60% of women are still wearing pads that leak. Really? Always Ultra Thin with Rapid Dry absorbs 30% faster with up to 100% leak-free comfort. So everyone can be leak-free. Find your fit with Always.
Finding the right drop for dry eyes can be overwhelming. You want relief that lasts. Soothe XP from Bausch & Lomb. Soothe XP helps restore the eye's lipid layer to seal in moisture and protect against further irritation. Soothe XP, the right choice for dry eyes.
Fit Me Foundation from Maybelline, New York. Fit skin tone and texture. Formula with mattifying clay. Stop shine, blurs pores. For your most natural matte. Fit Me Matte and Poreless. Only from Maybelline, New York.
New Colgate Optic White Renewal removes 10 years of yellow stains. And that's like all the way back to 2010.
What's that? It's a shake weight. It's a weight you shake.
Remove 10 years of yellow stains with new Colgate Optic White Renewal.
That's how a home and auto bundle was made. So, what are some key takeaways from this commercial? Did any of you hear the bundle your home and auto part?
I like that, just not when it comes out of her mouth. Yeah, as a mother, I wouldn't want my kids to see that.
Good mom.
To see, wait, I'm sorry, what?
Don't kids see enough violence as it is?
I've seen violence.
Maybe we're turning the word bundle into a character, like Mr. Bundles.
The top of the bundle to you.
I smoked and I have COPD. My children are really worried. My tip is send your kids a text. It may be the last time that you do.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT now.
Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Your dream. You made it happen. And menopause isn't going to change that. Estrogen Complete safely provides faster and clinically proven relief for all major menopause symptoms. And it's estrogen and drug-free with no MSG.
Let's go! Get the stroller!
Dads and strollers. We feel your pain. United We Fall 1-hour series premiere tonight on ABC.
Welcome back. In light of the movement to end police brutality and to raise awareness of the systemic and widespread racism in America, we've had to face some hard truths. So today we are chatting with an author and activist whose book Hood Feminism calls out the mainstream feminist movement on how it has largely ignored women of color. She's joining us now, Mikki Kendall. Mikki, thanks for being with us. And let's start by talking about the title of your book, Hood Feminism. What is that?
Thank you for having me. Hood feminism is the lived feminism of lower income and sometimes no income women and their communities where they take care of themselves and each other as best as they can.
Now you say the feminist movement has left out women of color in their fight. Tell us why, tell us how.
So one of the things that's increasingly obvious as we talk about Breonna Taylor, Lakia Boyd, Sandra Bland, and so many others who fall on the state her name, is that while Black feminist activists and Latina and Indigenous activists are showing up and protesting police brutality, we're not seeing the same number of white feminist voices. It's slightly better since the Women's March in 2016, but we're still not seeing the same number of high-profile voices who have access to the kind of people in power who could affect some real change.
So what would you like to see white women of means do to contribute to the larger feminist movement, including women of color?
So what I would like to see them do is use that political power and the social power, right? We see a lot of pushes to become a girl boss, to do all of these things that give you the power to affect change around you. I want them to use that power for more than themselves and their career advancement, or to stabilize the status quo. I want to see voices calling for, not just abortion rights, but also other rights to be protected. It's great to be able to have a child, or to choose not to have a child, but you should also be able to afford to feed and house and educate your child. This is especially obvious during the pandemic. So many of the women who are considered essential workers are women of color. Where is the safety net for them? If it affects women, it's a feminist issue. There's no such thing as an issue that impacts the lives of women and their families that is not a feminist issue.
So what can the mainstream feminists do? How can we all be better and do better?
First of all, selecting who you vote for very carefully. We've seen the consequences of bad voting decisions out of the 53% from the last election. Second of all, when we're talking about running for office, or even in terms of what you're paying your employees, are you paying living wages? Are you pushing for the minimum wage in your area to be raised to a living wage? Are you doing things to materially make an impact? That means more than just saying, rob from the sidelines. It means showing up and standing between police brutality and your neighbors. It means not calling the police for things as mundane as somebody barbecuing. It means not being so focused on what you need to get ahead and more focused on what we all need to survive.
I think that your words ring so true. This is such an important conversation. Mickey, thank you so much. Hood Feminist is out now. I want to make sure everybody picks up a copy. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, Mickey.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
And up next, when we come back, Corona comebacks. The doctor who took so many precautions, still catching the virus anyway. His takeaway from the experience. Stay with us.
This is the kind of card that has America talking. With it, people with Medicare are getting all-in-one coverage for their doctor visits, hospital care, prescription drugs, and more. This kind of insurance, called Medicare Part C, may also cover dental care, eyeglasses, hearing aids, fitness programs, vitamins, even healthy meals and rides to the doctor. With this kind of coverage, you do not need a Medicare supplement insurance plan. You will access your benefits through your Medicare Part C plan for one low and oftentimes $0 monthly plan premium. You deserve to get the most from your Medicare benefits. Call now for free information that may help you get more coverage for less money. There is no obligation to enroll, whether for yourself or someone you love. Call the number on the screen now. Call now.
America is our home. And in our home, food shouldn't go to waste. That's why Helmets is rescuing excess food from American farms and bringing it to the tables that need it most. Help us rescue more food at Helmets.com.
Did you know detergent leaves behind bacteria? Use new Clorox fabric sanitizer between washes to kill 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria. New Clorox fabric sanitizer kills bacteria between washes.
recipes with the ones you love. So at King's Hawaii, we wanted to share some of your irresistibly delicious ideas with the world. Like Christie's Greek Almighty Burger, or Lucy's Chili Dog Days of Summer, and of course, Trudy's Sweet Island Chicken Sliders. And if you want to share even more this summer, join us in No Kid Hungry in our fight against childhood hunger. Learn more at KingsHawaiian.com. King's Hawaiian, what an irresistibly delicious idea.
Ashley Home Store's grand reopening is happening now. Get up to 50% off, plus amazing doorbusters. Or get 0% interest for 6 whole years. Visit AshleyHomestore.com today. This is home.
Down there, Care with Cottonelle. Down there, because summer's got you.
Oh,
So freshen up with the cleaning ripples of Cottonelle toilet paper and flushable wipes. The refreshingly clean routine that leaves you feeling no matter the forecast. Care. Down there, Care with Cottonelle.
With this one little NexGard chew comes the confidence you're doing what's right to protect your dog from fleas and ticks for a full month. It's the #1 vet-recommended protection, and it's safe for puppies. NexGard, what one little chew can do.
Hey, do you happen to have a tampon? What size?
There's no name inside.
It's about your flow, okay? It changes, so should your Tampax. Only Tampax has 5 sizes and a leak guard braid. If it hurts to remove, go down. Leaks, go up. Super regular. That's my combo. Tampax, the only tampon with a leak guard braid to help give you more leak-free periods. Time to Tampax? What's your combo?
Cranky-pated, a bad mood related to a sluggish gut. Miralax is different. It works naturally with the water in your body to unblock your gut. Free your gut and your mood will follow.
We're back now with a doctor who works with children who was one of the first to take care of COVID patients at the beginning of this crisis, catching it himself. And his one question now for the rest of us.
Hi, my name is Dr. Dominic Carollo. I'm a pediatric anesthesiologist at Ochsner Hospital in New Orleans, and I'm a COVID survivor. Prior to the pandemic, my main role was to serve as a pediatric cardiovascular anesthesiologist. I take care of kids that have heart disease for heart surgery and for non-cardiac procedures. My role changed immensely when the pandemic hit. So we wanted volunteers the first week that we developed these COVID units, and I was one of the first people to volunteer. And on my first night, my role was to assess patients and then put the breathing tube in. It was never a lower level person. It was never a trainee. It was always us at the highest level of expertise completing these tasks. The second I started working around COVID patients, I moved into the master bedroom. I brought a table up there, a computer, and my wife moved down to the guest bedroom, and the kids all stayed out of that room. You know, I would think that you'd have to be a fool to not think that you could contract it, especially working in that unit and working around those patients. So I worked the Thursday night shift, and I came home, and on March 29th, I started to have a slight cough. I just did not feel great. And it wasn't what I was seeing in the hospital with COVID patients, because I was seeing the sickest of the sick. Woke up and was like, oh, I think I need to call somebody. And I called Ochsner's helpline, and they said, you need to get tested. I went and got tested, found out the next morning that I was COVID positive. I was scared. I was very scared. Monday night, I started to have fevers, and the fevers went up to like 101, and total body aches, where I didn't even want to walk from the bed to the bathroom. I just wanted to lay in bed. Tuesday night was by far my worst night. I woke up at 3 in the morning with a temperature of 100.2, and then about Friday afternoon, I started to feel better. I stopped having fever. The body aches went down to like a 2 out of 10. Eventually, I was able to get back up. It would say 7 days till I felt okay, and then 14 days until I felt somewhat normal. So I probably didn't get it at work. I was in full garb. I had a full respirator on that covered my face from ear to ear with 2 filters. But the viral load at that time was probably so high everywhere that I just got it. My message for people who don't think they can get it is this: why take the risk? It's easy to social distance. It's easy to be 6 feet away. It's easy to be outside. It's easy to wear a mask. Why take the risk? Why mess with it at all? It's not worth it.
Why take the risk? From Dr. Carrillo, who knows best. Thank you for that. Well, still ahead here on What You Need to Know, Dr. Jen on COVID precautions to take when you're traveling with someone in your car. And then on the fence about homeownership as the pandemic grinds on, the mortgage expert here answering your questions. We'll be right back.
You're clearly someone who takes care of yourself. So when it comes to screening for colon cancer, don't wait. Because when caught early, it's more treatable. I'm Cologuard. I'm non-invasive and detect altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers, even in early stages. Tell me more. It's for people 45 plus at average risk for colon cancer, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your prescriber if Cologuard is right for you. I'm on it. That's a step in the right direction.
When it comes to parenting, you're a pro. You know your kid doesn't step around bugs. And you know cheap leaky diapers are an amateur move. You need Love's Pro Level leak protection. Love's. Parent like a pro.
Cats will do anything for the irresistible taste of Temptations treats.
What are you doing?
Temptations. All it takes is a shake.
The Shark Vac Mop combines powerful suction with spray mopping to lock away debris and absorb wet messes, all in one disposable pad. Just vacuum, spray mop, and toss. The Shark Vac Mop, a complete clean, all in one pad.
A small thing like chlorine krill can make a big difference for our health. From pure Antarctic waters, krill are an omega-3 force of nature and more effective than fish oil for us. Chlorine krill oil, the ocean's superior omega.
For patients that have sensitivity, it's very common to have a gum health concern as well. You know, I talk to dentists every day, and they're able to recommend Sensodyne sensitivity in gum. It's really good dentistry. We're able to recommend one product for those two conditions.
Just don't curse.
Why?
You don't want to hear your mom.
What?
You don't want them to hear you cursing, do you?
For every project, original brush and nuts and ultra controlled gel.
Sorry. I don't understand. Like, it's recording over your microphone? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I'll take that.
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein with nutrients to support immune health. Frizzy, unruly hair? You need a hair smoother. Get Fructis Sleek and Shine with Moroccan Argan Oil. Hair is super sleek, even 97% humidity. No parabens. Fructis Sleek and Shine by Garnier, naturally.
All OTC pain relievers, including Voltaren, have one thing in common. None are proven stronger or more effective against pain than Salonpas Patch Large. Your surprising power in this patch. Salonpas. Dependable, powerful relief.
Welcome back to What You Need to Know. We have Dr. Jen Ashton here in the house. And some big news today. Moderna announcing some positive news. They've just completed phase 1, correct? They just released that data. And, you know, we've talked about, Amy, that it's not just Moderna. There are many groups around the world that are racing towards vaccine development that are in the same kind of stages of clinical trials. But the Moderna vaccine data that was just released, 45 volunteers, they all got 2 doses of this vaccine. They all made antibodies in sufficiently high levels that did their job. They neutralized the virus. So again, as we move into phase 2, phase 3, which is going to be starting this month, much more people, 600 volunteers, then 30,000 volunteers, and they're going to be looking at not just short-term safety that was proven already in these 45 very, very mild side effects, which is of course good news, but long-term safety and durability. Will these antibody levels hold up for a various period of time? 45 to 600 to 30,000. Yeah. Does this affect the timeline at all from when we were hoping for a vaccine? It doesn't, because they're doing a lot of these things in parallel, namely the manufacturing process. So we've heard Dr. Anthony Fauci say the manufacturing has already started at risk. That doesn't mean medical risk, that means investment risk. They're starting to put together the vials, the containers, the injections, so that if all the data looks good, they can already make 1 million+ doses, you know, early 2021. So cautious optimism, good news so far. Safety, there's no cutting corners for safety, and so far that all looks very good. Still some questions though in terms of the durability and how long the effects of this vaccine and who will get it and how they will get it and when they will get it. A lot of questions. We'll be staying on it for sure. All right, and Dr. Jen's answering your questions when we come back.
Golf fans, you ready? We are. Team up for Fairway Crimson, and everyone's invited for a $500 deposit bonus. Because golf is back again. Put down the remote, pick up your phone, get the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and get up to a $500 deposit bonus. Golf fans, it's time. 18 holes away, every stroke counts. Ready to find your stride? Click through it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code and get your $500 deposit bonus. DraftKings, game on.
I know so many Americans are suffering loss, alone, suffering economic hardship. The country is crying out for leadership. Leadership that can unite us, leadership that brings us together. That's what the presidency is. The duty to care for all of us, not just those who vote for us, but all of us. And I promise you this, I won't traffic in fear and division. I won't fan the flames of hate. I'll seek to heal the racial wounds that have long plagued our country, not use them for political gain. I'll do my job and I will take responsibility. I won't blame others. You know, I've said from the outset of this election that we're in the battle for the soul of this nation. Where we believe, maybe most importantly, who we want to be. It's all at stake. We stand together, finally as one America. We'll rise stronger than we were before. I'm Joe Biden. This message.
During this global health crisis, cancer hasn't stopped. At Fox Chase Cancer Center, our priority is to deliver the best and safest cancer care. We are taking strong actions to keep this coronavirus out of our center and are testing patients for the virus before surgical procedures. As always, our experts are here to help you make the most important decisions about your care. Now more than ever, where you start matters.
Welcome back to What You Need to Know, and a sign of the times, the beloved characters kicking up their heels as Disneyland Paris reopens to the public today for the first time since March. A limited number of visitors welcomed with physical distancing and enhanced cleaning in place, and face masks required for all over age 11. A sign of the times indeed. Well, we have Dr. Jen Ashton here with us to answer a wide variety of your questions today about living with coronavirus and, more importantly, perhaps even stopping its spread. So the first question, Dr. Jen, if you have to travel in a car with someone outside of your home, what precautions should you take? This is a great question, Amy, because a lot of people are trying to lower risk and they have to travel. So they're opting for car versus something where there are more people. Good idea. But still, you're talking about an enclosed space for a prolonged period of time. So obviously you can't keep 6 feet of distance. You really want to work on exploiting the other things. Masks on everyone in the car, windows open or air conditioning that recirculates with outside air on, windows open better, and keeping your hands clean. So again, this is, if you have to do it, this is a good way. Although I will out my mother right now. I had to bring her in the car with me, and every time she wanted to tell me something, she pulled her mask down. And she's a retired nurse. I said, Mom, keep the mask on your face. So it's hard. It's hard to go against your instinct, which is to talk freely and for sure. Wear a mask when you want to have someone understand you. That makes sense. Right, exactly. All right, next question. If I am feeling extremely fatigued, should I get tested out of precaution, or would I need to experience additional symptoms? So remember that fatigue is what we call a non-specific symptom, so it doesn't necessarily trigger the alarm bells for COVID-19. However, if you work in a job where you have high exposure, if you're in an area
they said they
where
couldn't get it
there's a lot
done
of
in time.
virus circulating right now, or you think you may have been in contact with someone who is infected,
Continue to work
in
with
my
officials
conversation I just had
on
with the
the
CDC
appropriate time
director,
to
Dr.
start
Robert Redfield, he said, if you feel suspicious that you may be infected, yes, you should try to get a test now. So again, try is the operative word. That's still logistically challenging, but the more we can test people who aren't just overtly and
Amazing
classically
Races
sick with
is
COVID-19,
done.
the better we'll be. All right,
That's
Dr.
gonna
Jen,
take
thank
their
you so
time
much.
spot
And you can
for the
submit
season.
questions to Dr. Jen on
And
her
then
Instagram
Survivor
at Dr. J.
more than likely won't be
Ashton.
back.
Well, as our country continues to evolve and change during this pandemic,
February.
so does the housing market. With all the uncertainty that lies ahead, many people are having trouble making sense of what the real estate landscape will bring. So here to help us is Wall Street Journal reporter and author of Underwater: How Our American Dream of Homeownership Became a Nightmare. Ryan December. Ryan, thanks for being with us. And I want to ask you, what are the trends we're seeing right now in the real estate market, and what can we expect in the days ahead?
Well, thanks for having me. Houses are hot right now. It's sort of counterintuitive given the unemployment situation we have. But we came into the pandemic with the hottest home construction market since 2006 before the housing crash. So you have investors on one hand, you have sort of all these young families that were going to be moving to the suburbs anyway, and it's all coming to bear right now, and it's made homes really hot.
All right, well, Ryan, our viewers have a lot of questions for you right now, so we're going to get started with our first one. This one's from Ashley.
My name is Ashley from Seattle, Washington. My husband and I sold our home back in March, right when lockdown began. We are on the search for a new home with our 3 small children, but we keep getting caught in bidding wars, and houses are selling for over asking price. Is now a buyer's market or a seller's market? Should we continue to stay with family and wait it out, or jump on a house even if it may cost us more?
Well, Ashley, that's a very hard question. Obviously, you've seen that it's a seller's market, selling your own home in just 3 days. But again, you know, Seattle was one of the hottest markets in the country for several years. Home prices basically doubled there since the end of the housing crash. And you have big employers like Amazon, Microsoft, and warehouse companies that are sort of poised for whatever comes after the pandemic to do well. So it's hard to see, you know, people now wanting to live and move to Seattle. Now, as you noted, the affordability is an issue. There's bidding wars. The big investment companies that buy homes by the thousands to rent out, they're buying a lot in Seattle. So I wouldn't expect home prices to fall in any given time, you know, in the near future.
All right. Brian, thanks for that. Our next question comes from Penny. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Penny McCormick. I'm 52 years old and I live in Syracuse, New York. My husband and I are thinking about moving to Florida to escape the snow. My question is with Florida being such a hot spot right now for the pandemic, is it the right time to move? Do you think that the pricing would be lower because it's such a hot spot?
Well, Penny, I don't think the pricing right now will be lower. You know, there's so much pent-up demand. Interest rates are an all-time low. You have tens of millions of millennials coming of age and starting families and looking for homes. And as you would move from Syracuse in the north down to Florida in the Sun Belt, that's generally the way that most of the U.S. population is moving. So you're going to have a lot of competition. The other issue with buying in a hotspot right now is it's not going to be like buying a home in the past. You're not going to have a lot of open houses. In-person showings are going to be difficult for anything except for a brand new house. Anything that's occupied will be hard to see. So get ready to look at a lot of homes online and be prepared